On this episode of Getting Worldly, we're going to learn how they drink in Georgia.
All right, here we go.
We're going to go on a road trip.
Road trip. Say what's up.
I'm going to go sledding down this mountain. I'm joking, but we are going to see how beautiful Georgia is. These old Soviet cable cars are falling apart and nicknamed flying coffins. I'm going to get in them, and I want you to join me. What do you say we go for another ride? Georgia? You're not gonna find Hot Lana or Little John here. I'm talking about the Georgia home of Crazy Uncle Joe, Joseph Stalin. Georgia is a former Soviet country that went to war with Russia back in 2008. Russia's no pushover, and Georgia's population is under 4 million. Everybody loves an underdog. I imagine some of you are probably wondering, where in the hell is Georgia? Whoop, that is. One thing that interested me about Georgia is when I heard about the fence they have on the border. Russia literally picks up the fence and keeps moving it. Oh, it's created huge problems. They usually move it at night, so in the morning someone wakes up and all of a sudden randomly their farm animals are on the other side of the fence. That's what initially got me interested in Georgia. And then I hear that that's where wine was created and they're big drinkers. Sold. Say no more. I think we'll probably get along pretty well. Tbilisi, Georgia. Ready or not, here I come. I love hostels, so I have to stay in this artsy-fartsy looking one named Fabrica. In America, a common question when you first meet someone is, what do you do for a living? In a hostel, no one asks you what you do for a living, no one cares. They want to know where you've been and where you're going, and everyone's welcome. In my room, there's one other person, a guy from Colombia. His name's Emilio. Seems like a pretty cool guy. He doesn't know it yet, but I signed him up for a pub crawl with me tonight. Emilio just got in from Azerbaijan. When he told me that, I acted like I was familiar with the country and knew where it was. I'm a sucker for some good street art. And Tbilisi, my friend, you are looking good. I kind of have a routine whenever I first get into a city. I look at a map with someone at the front desk and ask them if there's any place I should avoid. They'll usually tell me, well, it's nearby and around. And I never take the map with me. I just use my phone. Nothing says rob me or rip me off quite like someone walking around with a map. Maps.me is an app I use. It's an offline map. You don't have to worry about reception or data. Tbilisi is looking like a lovely little city. There's a lot going on. One street you go down, you kind of get like a hipster vibe. At times I felt like it was an old classic European city, almost like an Italian village. And other times I felt like it was a new modern city. To be honest, it's a lot different than I expected. Eastern European countries are usually predominantly Orthodox Christian, usually dress more traditional, conservative, and being a former Soviet country, I was expecting Soviet architecture. A lot of the buildings here are actually pretty small, and people are dressed a little more casual. It's cool. It seems they have more of a style of their own. One of the first things that I noticed, it stuck right out to me, was everyone that seemed to be working was of a younger generation. I didn't see many old people working. I stopped at a restaurant for lunch, and so I asked two of the people working there about it. And they both laughed and said they think the older generation's lazy. Not sure if that has something to do with being brought up capitalist versus communist. I don't know. Another thing I immediately noticed was that the younger generation in Tbilisi could speak English. Pleasantly surprised, I didn't expect that. The old generations can speak Russian as a second language, but the younger generation is more likely to have English as a second language. I like it. It's got a relaxed, chill vibe. I haven't seen one person in the streets trying to hustle me yet. Although I'm more in like a residential neighborhood, the entertainment district's a few kilometers away. Don't stop short, lady. Oh, you did it. That girl's beautiful. Body sheet. I didn't say anything when I passed her. I think I got self-conscious by holding the camera and just stared at the ground. That's alright. I need to save some of my charm and confidence. I got that pub crawl tonight. I got some high expectations for it too. It's advertised as the biggest pub crawl in Tbilisi, and all you can drink. We're not going to spend a ton of time on the pub crawl, but I think it's a good idea to go to a couple bars and show what the nightlife is like. It's me, Emilio, and 3 dudes from the Netherlands. I was hoping that lady in blue was going to come. She must have not got the memo. I don't think any ladies got the memo.
We have to wait for just a couple of minutes. And
Is this your guys' home also?
Hello.
Is this your home also?
Yes, they do live here, and they also actually have like homemade dishes for
Awesome.
people here.
I thought we were going to a bar, but we're actually in someone's house. Georgia is very well known for being a hospitable nation. In Georgia, a guest is considered a gift from God. They even have a monument dedicated to hospitality and friendship. This is great. I mean, I think we're just gonna get drunk right here in the family room. It's a married couple. The husband's in the kitchen making the food right now, and the wife is delivering the wine.
Dry, semi-dry, semi-sweet wines.
Where do the grapes come from?
They all grow in Georgia.
Like everywhere? Do they get them specifically from a specific
In Georgia, the
place?
grapes come from heaven.
Yeah.
Normally,
This comes to the backyard.
Every morning you hold up your hands and...
normally people in Georgia make wine even at home.
Yeah?
I mean,
So
I also
grapes
had
can come
it
from the store.
from
Yeah, for example.
Or-
Oh.
yeah. There are some open markets.
Are we cheersing?
So, we can say it like we say it in Georgia.
Please.
Do you know how it is?
No.
Kaumarchos. It's a little bit difficult to say, but Georgians are very clever people. Yeah, but they really like talking much, especially when we drink. When everyone is pretty drunk and we don't want to say long toast, or we don't, we
So
cannot.
does this mean like fuck it? Or...
No. It's actually wish of success and yeah, something like this. But we say it like the head of the table says the first part of the
Toast?
sorry, not toast, but this word. The first part of the word, and the rest of the crowd says the last part. It's like Kaumar Jos. And we say it 3 times. Yeah.
Okay.
Kaumar Jos. Kaumar Jos. Kaumar Jos.
Guys, enjoy.
I love it.
What is that drink? Arak?
Yes,
She's explaining a common drink in Georgia.
Almost. It's chacha.
Yeah.
Araki
Yeah, right.
is in Georgian means vodka, but chacha is different.
She's explaining that everyone in Georgia makes a drink called cha-cha. It's anywhere from 80 to 85% alcohol, 160 or 170 proof.
Cheese, sulguni. You can try it with honey if you like. So,
Everyone makes their own wine in Georgia.
nearly, at least once during their life, like went 12 hours or longer. In
Celebrations?
villages. Yeah, I mean,
What time do they start?
Some kind of celebration, some kind of
She told us in Georgia it's common for celebrations to last 12 hours. That's a lot of drinking.
thing.
But you call yourself a party animal.
Yeah.
When I was working in Anakya, we were in a hotel and it was on a Saturday and there was a Georgian wedding going on.
Oh.
Everybody was really drunk, and then someone went clang, and then a car crashed into the hotel. And then they were doing donuts on the parking lot, and then the bride came out in a white dress, completely blood and all red.
The groom and bride crashed the car doing donuts in the parking lot.
Yeah, because they were doing these donuts on the...
We had a great time sitting there in someone's living room. We had about 10 or 12 bottles of wine. Learned how to toast, and that everybody loves drinking, making their own wine, and cha-cha. It sounded like cha-cha, similar to moonshine. Look, there's someone walking on the rail right there. I saw like 3 different people do this. It's like a 40-foot drop into a river. Hey, no more cha-cha for that lady. She's getting crazy.
Like a sailor.
Yeah.
I am Georgian. I am Armenian, live in Georgia.
We have no idea who this guy is. Nobody likes drinking alone. Come on over, buddy.
I live in Georgia. It's my country. It's my art, my country, my art in Georgia. I am no Georgia. I am Armenian.
Yes, yes.
I live many times. Me, my father, my grandfather, grandfather, in all time, in many time. Okay, listen.
Long time.
Okay,
Many generations.
No, long time. Okay.
Thank you,
understand
translation.
me?
You
Yes.
understand it, yes.
Yes. Russia. Yeah. Russia. No, bad. One minute, please. Listen. Good people. Okay. I don't like is Turkey.
Hey, I'm glad no one's Turkish at our table. It's only like 8 p.m. This guy needs to get it together. The guy just told me his name is Sasha, and he's also a boxer, so he can probably beat us all up. He's clearly had way too much cha-cha tonight, and he won't shut up. This goes on for like 30 minutes. After about 30 minutes of his bullshit, I ask him if we can buy him a shot just to get him out of here. He wants to teach us another toast. All right, Sasha, show us the way, buddy.
What is your drink?
Here, here.
Here.
Yeah. You do the toast.
Sorry?
Okay, one moment, please. One moment.
Yeah, well, I
am drink. Kiss you. You drink. Kiss. I know. You want another?
yeah.
Kiss you. It's no. It's no.
Guys,
It's no.
look here.
Brother,
we switch.
brother,
We kiss and we switch.
Brother,
love.
brother. It's
Not-
no.
not
Okay,
like
okay.
that.
Show me the kiss. Show me the kiss. How's the kiss?
Guys,
We're kissing each other. Can we just drink these?
That's a really
Brother
good kiss.
love, brother love.
Okay. Yes. Only. One moment, please. Okay.
can you look here?
Yes. It's very good. It's hard.
I'm sick. You know what?
Brother,
But
I want to kiss you as well.
The Dutch guys were awesome, very funny. The hugs and kisses from Sasha ended right there. He ended up threatening all of us. He made our tour guide cry and then wanted to continue to the next bar with us. We had to tell him no. All right, we got one last stop. Our guide's gonna show us a Georgian superstition.
So, the story says that if you are touching the horn when you're taking a picture, you will be able to drink
Kelly.
as much as you can, as much as you want all your life long, and won't get sick. If you are touching his laps on the picture, you will be pretty, very, very beautiful all your life long. And if you are touching his head, you will be smart all your life long. So just choose a part, touch him, and I will
And take a
So if I
selfie.
do like this, I can be all.
Cheese! This carries on for like another 8 bars. It got messy. You get the picture. I planned on getting up pretty early. I wanted to see some of the sights near Tbilisi. I was the first person to leave. I left at like bar 8 or 9. Tbilisi has a fun nightlife. I think Emilio got back this morning at like 6 a.m. This is Mesquita. I rented a car in Georgia. There's a lot to see there, but it's kind of spread out. If I could do it over again, I wouldn't have taken the car. I would have hitchhiked. I saw a lot of people doing it. Mesquita is just outside Tbilisi. It's the religious capital of Georgia and considered one of the most important cities, and is home to 3 of their most famed churches. This is the Svan Towers. It's only about 12 kilometers outside Tbilisi. A lot of the houses here are fortresses. The village was the gatekeepers to the mountain passes. The towers date all the way back somewhere between the 9th and 12th century. You don't realize how beautiful Georgia is when you're in Tbilisi. It's by far the largest city in Georgia. It has a population of over 1 million. It's about 30% of the country. You have to get outside of the big city. There is so much to see. By the time I got back to the hostel, Amelia was up. We decided to walk around the city and grab some dinner.
If you're gonna get into a fight and somebody pulls how you call it?
Brass knuckles.
Brass knuckles.
Stalin is probably the worst human in history. I mean, he's responsible for the genocide in Ukraine, the Gulag, which are forced labor camps in Siberia, and also the death toll of bare minimum 20 million people. The guy was worse than Hitler. Not only is Stalin responsible for all that, which is just evil, he did that to his own people. I mean, the guy's an evil asshole. Decent supply of weapons they got here. Emilio's a cool guy. I really enjoy walking around the city with him. The reason I like to stay in hostels is to meet people like him. I've walked around 60 or 70 countries with some stranger I met in a hostel. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. Usually we'll do like a knowledge transfer, and that could be on travel or stuff we've learned. We'll talk about the experiences we've had. I've met so many cool people that have done incredible things. I think people usually look at one another as a fellow traveler, someone that's open-minded and isn't judgmental. I think it's therapeutic for some. I've had people confess some wild things. I think it's interesting to hear what people's concerns are day to day and what they value in certain parts of the world. We'll usually talk about each other's culture. What do you think the number one question I get asked is? Everybody wants to know, what do you think of Trump? And they want to know if I own a gun. After those two questions, it's usually college debt and healthcare. And then they start asking some weird questions, like they want to know if everyone's really fat. You'd be amazed on how often I get asked about red Solo cups. You know, the keg cups? They think we're obsessed with them. I don't know if it's from the movies or what. A lot of people have traveled around the world but haven't been to the States. It's expensive and it's huge. So usually we have a stereotype that's caused by something stupid and ridiculous that Michael Moore put in a documentary. Everyone wants to generalize America. Can anyone guess what is on my shoulder? If anyone guessed bird shit, you win. I know people watching right now are probably like, hey, that's good luck. Well, hey, no, it's not. You know, it's not money that landed on my shoulder. Something pooped. We're walking through the market and gallery, and there's those tiny, narrow little sidewalks, and it's very crowded. We're stopped. We can't walk. And I get shit on by a bird. Everyone is stopped in like this traffic jam of people. And so everyone just sees the bird shit on me. And, you know, I look at my shoulder like, oh man, sucks. I just got hit by a flying turd. I look up and I notice that I'm surrounded by people staring at me in every direction. I don't know if they were waiting for like reaction from me or they're just curious. What is this man gonna do now? I acknowledge everyone that's staring at me, like give him a head nod. Yes, I'm aware. You know, I got poop in my shoulder. Gonna take care of it. Emilio was laughing, saying it's something that would only happen to George Costanza on an episode of Seinfeld. It was kind of a big deal. I mean, I have a poop stain on my shoulder, for heaven's sakes. Yeah, what you saw is after I cleaned it up. All right, who's hungry? Right now, we're at probably one of the most touristy places to eat. Somewhere you'd probably take your wife or your girlfriend for your anniversary. Let's see how expensive it is. Soft drinks are about 60 cents. Beer is anywhere from $1 to $1.50. And you can get a bottle of wine for $10. I use an app called Currency Converter. It converts it in real time. The most expensive thing on the menu is $18 US, but on average, it's anywhere between $5 and $6 for a plate. Dumplings are a very traditional Georgian dish. And so is khachapuri. I had it for lunch, that's it right there, and I just had it for dinner. Neither of them are what I was looking for, but I'm gonna find it. I guess they have a lot of variations of khachapuri. Our total bill was under $15 US.
Mind if I get a taxi?
Go for it, man. I'm probably just gonna walk back still.
Good? Okay.
We're in the Old Town, which is the entertainment district in Tbilisi. Emilio decided to head back to the hostel, but I'm gonna stick around and check it out. Tbilisi is very unique. It actually has thermal sulfuric water springs. The only other city in Europe that has something similar is Budapest, which is famous for the bath parties. It's a wild party. I highly recommend it if you're in Budapest. Tbilisi takes a different approach than Budapest. They don't throw a crazy ass party. It's more of like a relaxing sauna. I actually read that visiting Tbilisi's mineral sulfur baths is one of the most pleasant and memorable experiences you can have in Georgia. The bathhouses are right here in Old Town. I have nothing else to do. Let's give it a shot. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what the norm is or what I should be getting. I chose to go with 1 hour and in a private bath. After I chose those two options, the lady at the desk said, "Would you like someone to scrub you?" Hell yeah, I would. Now we're talking. In my head, I'm envisioning like me in a bubble bath and some gorgeous Georgian lady with a soap brush. I had a pretty good feeling it wasn't gonna go down like that. So you strip down, butt naked, you go and you jump in this little tub. The water's pretty hot. I'd say it's similar to a hot tub. But anyway, I got this for an hour. That's way too long. I mean, I sat there, butt naked, in this little tub for like 40 minutes, waiting for some mystery person to come in and scrub me. That sounds so weird. Let me tell you, it felt weird too. So, the mystery person arrives. It's like the 65-year-old man. He's got a bathing suit on, and he's got a glove on his hand, and a bucket of soapy water. He's trying to tell me something. He doesn't speak English, I don't speak Georgian, we're getting nowhere. Finally, I understand he wants me to get out of the tub. You know, I'm naked, I'm like, why does he want me to do that? So I get out, and I immediately put a towel on. He rips it off, and points to the thing to the left that looks like a bench. He wants me to lay on it. So I lay face down. Then he pours scorching hot water all over my naked body. I didn't just yell, I screamed. It burns, I mean it hurts. And then he scrubs the hell out of me with the glove. I was thinking like, man, what the hell is going on here? I got this grown-ass man, he's scrubbing my armpits. I couldn't stop laughing. This is the tub. That's his bucket. Right there is where I laid down and he scrubbed the hell out of me. He had some showers right there. To the right, there's like a drain right there. I don't know if it's a toilet. I peed in it. So what'd I think of it? Well, I think it was very unpleasant and uncomfortable. I wouldn't consider doing it again. Hey, to each their own, it's just not my cup of tea. 2 more people ended up joining our room in the hostel that night. These are our new roomies in the hostel. The girl on the left is from Germany, and the guy on the right is from Iran.
What up, buddy?
This is the khachapuri that I've been looking for. Last night at the bar, we met some locals. I told them how I rented a car and planned on driving around Georgia and seeing some of the sights, and asked if they had any suggestions. They suggested a ghost town, which is an old Soviet mining town. I told everyone in the room this morning that I was going, and they're welcome to come, but I'm going on a wine tour for my birthday, and I'll have to leave them there, so they're on their own for a way home. Everyone was like, yeah, we don't care. We'll come. This khachapuri is made up of butter, cheese, egg, and bread.
He was saying, fix your hair. Thank you. You man. Thank you.
I was feeling pretty strong, and better table lunch, I could eat it all.
I lost. All right, here we go. Road trip. Say what's up.
Want me to
Navigate.
Georgia's not very big, and the entire country is worth seeing. Right now we're in Tbilisi. We're in the southeast. To the southwest, you have Batumi, and to the north, you have the Kazbek Mountains. Batumi is an awesome beach resort. It's a hot spot in the summer, and it's pretty dead in the winter. Georgia's small, but very diverse. One moment, you're driving through the Alpine Mountains. The next, you're at a subtropical Black Sea coast. This is up near the border of Russia. This is the Treaty of Georgiysk. It's also known as Friendship Monument. The treaty was signed over 200 years ago. The treaty was signed with Russia, who isn't always friendly with them. Georgia has the mountains, the sea, and beautiful temples and churches. Holy Trinity Church, or often called Grigati Church, is one of the world's most beautiful churches. And if you'd like to see it, you're gonna have to hike about 3 hours up a mountain. Apart from religious purposes, it used to serve as a place for hiding. During times of invasion, the national treasure of Georgia was hidden here. This is the Katsky Pillar. A monk currently lives up there in solitude. He's been there for over 25 years. I wanted to go and meet him, but I didn't have time. He uses this iron ladder to get up and down. He usually comes down once or twice a week, and he'll do that to counsel troubled young men who come to the monastery looking for his help. I just thought it'd be cool to meet him. I have a lot of respect for anyone that has that amount of dedication and discipline. Hey, all you REI shopping, granola eating hipsters, come out, wherever you are. Georgia's got your name written all over it. This is back in November 2018. One guy we're with is from Iran, and so as we're driving, Emilio asked him about all the sanctions that the US had against them and the effects, and he told us his currency is worth 1/10 of what it was worth a year ago. It didn't even seem like it bothered him much either. It made me and Emilio think his family's probably in the oil business. We made a little pit stop on our way. It's called Tbilisi.
What are these things?
So,
Nobody even knows what it is. They asked if we could stop on our way to the ghost town, and I was like, yeah, I don't care. Tbilisi literally translates to the Lord's Fortress. In its heyday, there was 20,000 people here. This place was bumping. It's a rock cut culture, and the styles are from Turkey and northern Iran. I'm guessing that's why the guy from Iran wanted to go. I don't know. People used to live in caves, and this is it. That's Emilio moving my drone. Iran is kind of a hotbed for travelers. It's very well known around the world that Iran is one of the most beautiful countries. For Americans, it's kind of like going to North Korea. First, they have to accept you, and then you can only go under the condition that you are with a chaperone 24 hours a day. Smoking a hookah, or shisha as they call it, is very common in the Middle East. I've heard that in Iran, they often smoke it with opium. So I asked the guy, and he told me, yeah, he smokes it every night. My mind was blown. I said, you understand, that's basically smoking heroin, right? He just laughed and said, yeah. I said, usually it's very traditional with upper-class older men. All right, this is our destination, Chiatora. It was once a thriving mining town, and it accounted for about 75% of Georgia's economy. I think the good old days are over. This place looks like it needs a hug. The guest house was amazing. They fed us an 8-course meal, and then gave us a bunch of cha-cha. That's the stuff people make that's like 80% alcohol.
Thank you. Ooh. You guys made that.
It's the last year, but just now we are making.
I don't want to wake up and see a ghost here, so I'm gonna drink as much of this stuff as I can. Cha-cha will get you a little silly. And there is nothing to do in the city except get a little silly with this guy. I already looked for a bar. There is nothing. He's typing into a computer, a translator, with one finger right now. After a few more shots of cha-cha, the guy wanted to have a dance party.
Oh, yes.
The guy not only treated us like we were a customer, he treated us like a guest and a friend. He entertained us.
Yeah.
all right? Salute. La Masi.
While I was there, I got a text from my mother telling me about my grandpa. She let me know that the entire family was in Arizona. They were with him, and he's gonna pass away. My grandpa has cancer, so it was expected at some point. I just feel bad I'm not with my family right now. I was standing next to the big guy when I got the text, and I think my eyes probably started watering, and he asked me what happened, so I told him.
I'm sorry, the Großvater.
We're cheersing to Grandpa.
Es Großvater, no. Es good, es good.
They offered their condolences, and I thought my family would get a kick out of this. I should send it to them, let them know I'm thinking of them.
To Grandpa.
That was very nice of them. They showed me some compassion and poured me some more cha-cha. Very cool people. I got up at 8 a.m. smelling like cha-cha, all 160 proof of it. Some people refer to these cable cars as Stalin's rope roads. They were installed by his government in the 1950s, and they're still using the same exact ones. The Soviet Union ended in 91. These things are still going. Most people refer to them as flying coffins. The cable cars are literally falling apart, and there's no safety mechanism in case a cable breaks. I don't have a very good track record with heights. This is me and Medji in Colombia last year. Went paragliding, ended up passing out. I hyperventilated. If it includes heights, spiders, or ghosts, I'm out. The thing's gonna fall apart one day for sure. but the chances of it falling apart the one time I ride it, it's gotta be pretty low. That looks terrifying. I almost broke my ankle here last night. It didn't end with the bird poop. Poor countries don't have animal control, so there's a bunch of stray dogs that the communities just take care of, and they poop everywhere.
Again, I stepped in shit again. That's poop. I slipped in it, fell over, almost fell over, almost fell in the poop. Then I got closer, I could smell it and almost threw up. So I slipped, almost fell in poop and almost threw up.
Woof. What are they feeding these dogs? I've become like some kind of turd magnet here in Georgia. I better be careful. If I step in any more poop, I might have to take another sulfur bath. Ugh.
Holy shit. Fuck.
Oh my god. They're falling apart. They have a bunch of holes in it. No, it's not safe at all, I don't think. I actually got stuck on the cliff for like an hour. I mean, I don't know where everyone went, but I was just stuck there. No one was there to let me down. So fucking scary. I actually had to wait until other people wanted to use it. I didn't have to pay anything. It's a free ride, but don't expect any guarantees. If the cable breaks, or if any part of this metal container, which has a lot of holes in it, gives way, you are falling to your death. But rest assured, my friends, because I read that the small amount of maintenance that's been done on these was done by an amateur engineer. A couple months after I wrote it, they shut them all down. Yeah, you're listening to one of the last survivors of Stalin's cable cars. They're obviously way too dangerous to be riding. They're literally falling apart. I'm glad they shut them down. I tried to get a lot of film of it, but hey, I was freaking out. I don't want to rock the thing. We got 3 people on this thing. It was just like, nobody move. Scared. I'm scared of heights. You know, I was trying to keep my cool, but I don't think I was fooling anyone. If I wasn't filming this, I would have just left when I woke up. I did not want to ride that. My job here is done. Let's make like a banana and leave. I went and thanked the guest house people, gave the big guy a hug. Started my journey back to Tbilisi. I had my grandpa and the rest of my family on my mind. I was just ready to get out of there. If anyone actually watched this docuseries, probably wonder how I'm able to take a year off of work and travel around the world. I didn't just have the extra time to go do all this shit. I still have a mortgage, bills, commitments, relationships, my career, my neighbors back home are still bugging me. You know, I got all that bullshit just like you. I had to make the time for this. I'd like to think I have a good perspective and understanding of the world, but the world is huge. The world's a pretty big place, and I want to see it. Once I get married and have kids, there's no way I'll do this. And I don't want to do it when I retire. I'd much rather go through life with this experience and understanding. Besides, I'll probably be too old to be chasing gorillas around Africa and running tanks in Ukraine. I get asked a lot if people in America really define who they are by their job, and if it's the most important thing in their life. They aren't trying to be mean. They just want to know if that's really how it is. When I tell them it's true, I always get a look of sadness and concern. To people around the world, that sounds pathetic. There are so much more important things in life. And for someone to hear that, they think, man, your life must suck if that's the most important thing in it. The meaning in your life is to work. It sounds crazy. I try to explain it's expectations we have of ourselves and from society. It's how we define successful people. People are driven to succeed. I try to explain it, but I agree with them. I also tell them too, yeah, money doesn't equal happiness, but it does buy fun. Crazy ass fun is for sale. I've bought it. That is only temporary. You can buy a lot of cool stuff. Probably not the most fulfilling life, but I think it is the culture we live in. It's the way I've been living for the past 10 years. So I decided to take a year off and do this while I can. And if that's unconventional, I don't give a shit. I don't think too kindly of the conventional way. Student loans were conventional. I didn't bite there either. I'll go back to corporate America after. I'll be playing the rat race work game for the next 30 years. I don't think work's going anywhere. And hey, I'm cool with it. I'll provide a family a good life. I might get kicked down a few levels from where I was. I also have to work hard and level up again. I already done it before. I can do it again. While I was driving back, I was thinking about how I didn't regret doing this at all. A few months before I left on this trip, I went to go see my aunt and my grandpa in Chicago. I wanted to let them know what I was doing, and I wanted to take my grandpa to Malta before I left. We're Maltese. Malta is where my grandpa was born and where his two sisters live. For the past 8 years, my grandpa's constantly been telling me how important it is for him to go back to Malta, see his two sisters one last time, and tell them how he loves them. So I went to Chicago, took my grandpa to the bar. It was like 11 a.m. We've already had about 5 drinks. He's a fun guy. I told the old man, hey, I got the time now. I'll take you to Malta. I'll buy us 2 tickets next week. Let's go. He told me he couldn't do it. He said he's sick and they won't let him on the plane. He said, you can go for me. Will you do that? I said, no, I want you to go. If I go without you, you won't go. Then he swore at me a few times and said, really, when I die, you're not going to go. I told him, of course I would. I said, I thought you meant like next week. He made me say it 2 more times that I'll go and had to promise him. I didn't think much of it. When I was leaving Chicago, gave my aunt and my grandpa a hug and kiss goodbye, and was reaching for the door. I heard my grandpa say, Edgar, come give me another hug. And he was crying. I started crying too, walking back to him. When I went to give him a hug, he said, I love you, I'm going to miss you. That's not something we'd say to each other. During that moment, we both understood very well that we were saying goodbye for the last time. And I told him, I love him, I'm going to miss him too. I'm sure that sounds sad and a little dramatic, but I was just driving home, I was happy. I got a chance to say goodbye. And I don't think a lot of people get a chance to do that. He passed away while I was driving back. Glad I was able to have that conversation with him. I wasn't too busy writing some fucking email. I saw a barbershop when I got back to Tbilisi, and I thought, tomorrow's my birthday, I'm gonna go get a shave. Walking into a barbershop when you're bald, it's humiliating. Felt like everyone was staring at me. Doesn't he know he's bald?
Never taken a razor to my bald head, but this is the first time for everything.
As I was sitting in the chair, I got a call from my father. I asked the barber if he can give me a few minutes. I was in the mood to have a conversation. I knew he was calling to let me know my grandpa passed away. I ended up going back and just calling it an early night, went to bed. Got woke up by the hostel. Brought me some cheesecake for my birthday.
Hustle woke my fat ass up and brought me some cheesecake.
Back to this poor guy. He comes back and I tell him my grandpa's dead. He goes, oh, I'm so sorry. You probably don't want to shave anymore, huh? I was like, nope, I still want it. I was his last customer too. I felt kind of bad, but hey, I had the rest of the night to go back to a hostel, sit in a room by myself and think about this. These pictures were before I got the call. I didn't have a big smile on my face after that. I told him how I was traveling, and he asked me why I decided to come to Tbilisi. I told him I've heard wonderful things about Georgia. I wanted to learn about the culture and basically the events after the Rose Revolution. For anyone not familiar, the Rose Revolution was a peaceful revolution, or sometimes referred to as a bloodless coup, which means they overthrew the government without any violence. Basically, they struck a deal. If the revolutionists refuse to use violence, then it's called a non-violent revolution. So the difference between peaceful revolution and non-violent revolution is, are the people willing to use violence to overthrow the government? The Rose Revolution was a peaceful revolution. It didn't get to the point where they had to use violence yet. But I imagine it was pretty close. This was a 20-day revolution back in 2003. The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, so this is far after that. Countries gained their independence then, but Russia was still calling the shots, and even to today, still do. The barber and I had about an hour-long conversation. I'm going to try to sum this up, tell you what I learned and took from the conversation. Georgia is a completely different world from where it was 20 years ago. After the Soviet Union collapsed, and up until the Rose Revolution, a little after, the corruption in the country was unimaginable. Criminals and officials didn't have to worry about consequences for breaking the law. There was ways around it. Corruption crippled the country. The barber was telling me nowadays people trust the police. Back then, no one did. People feared the police and they were all corrupt. From our conversation, it sounded like a very unstable and scary place. I'm not sure if he was exaggerating this to get his point across. I couldn't find any data to back it up, but it wouldn't surprise me that, that data is just not available. Anyway, back in 2003, over 1 million people were arrested by the police. And on bullshit charges. But you know how fucked up that is? Alright, there's not even 4 million people in Georgia. Over 1 million people arrested? That blew my mind. You know, it's more than 1 in 4 people were arrested. I asked him if he was ever arrested. He said no, but he was taken in and they took his fingerprints. He talked about the war with Russia. Yeah, he quickly explained that to me. I didn't ask him, but he just said, you know, it's not like we thought we were gonna win the war with Russia. But it wasn't about that. It was about the people of Georgia not willing to live on their knees for Russia. They will fight. They did it before and they're not gonna hesitate to do it again. The thing I was most curious about is, what is this all about? All right, we saw it in Ukraine, see it in Georgia. What exactly does Russia want? Is this about Russia going after valuable assets? You know, is Crimea about the port? Is that what they wanted? In Georgia, do they want, gas pipeline? From what I could tell, it sounds like, I'm sure Russia enjoys those assets, but that's not the motivation behind this. The motivation behind this is to stop them from joining NATO and the European Union. This is about defense and security. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Of course, hell no, Russia doesn't want a bunch of troops from NATO right on the border.
Basically paying someone to hang out with me on my birthday.
It was my last night in Georgia and I didn't want to waste any time trying to find places. So I used the show around app again.
Well, I guess this is not Georgian. This is definitely Georgian, and this one as well. And this, I'm not sure. I think it's mostly European. And he was like, "Do you want some plates?" And I was like,
The wine tour got canceled because it was raining, so I didn't know what I was going to do. This ended up working out perfect. And I told her I want a really good dinner, what's a nice traditional Georgian place to eat, and show me some cool local bars downtown.
Hello?
there are 0 people in the street.
Is that common or no?
No, it's not.
You're saying it's scary?
Yes, I'm taking to a hidden place. I'm kidnapping you.
Okay, good. Going to the Drunken Owl.
All right, getting worldly score for Georgia. I give it an 8.5. Just keeping it real, just being honest. I kept thinking, man, Georgia is a great opportunity for investment. There's less than 4 million people there. You don't have much competition. It's cheap. It's great. They have everything, the mountains, the water, the country, great people. The food's amazing. If property stays cheap, I'll put serious thought in buying a place there one day.
I'll hold on to it.